So, hi everybody. There are tons of you in chat already. This is fun.
Hello.
I know, right?
Oh,
Welcome to the
there really are a
April.
lot of you in chat.
I
Hey.
know, right? Welcome to the April Windows Insider Webcast. We are doing something we have never done before, which is a fully remote, multi-piped in stream broadcast. Usually we are all sitting in one room together, doing our thing where we sit around the conference room table. For those of you that have joined us previously, you know what the routine is. But because of the current scenario around the world, we're having to try something a little different. And that being the case, we have hit up some of our friends who do remote webcasting and asked them how they did it. And so we are trying to mimic that. So we will see how this goes today. If it goes well, we will try to continue doing these in the coming months while we're still working remotely. And then at some point, we'll all be back in the office and hopefully getting things back to normal, at least as closely as possible. But real quick, there's a ton of folks in here, so what's up, everybody? Real quick, in case there are any new folks on the stream who have not tuned into a webcast before, I am Jason Howard. I am one of the PMs here on the Windows Insider team. We are happy to have you here. As you can see on the multi-broadcast here, we also have two other fantastic folks. For those of you that know them, you know them well. If you don't know them, I'll allow them to introduce themselves. So, Jen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. I am Jen. I can't see my face, but I'll just believe that you can see it. I work on the team that owns the Windows Shell, which is most of what you see when interacting with the core Windows operating system. And I help make sure that feedback goes to the right places and gets prioritized, and that we talk back on stuff as the investigations go through, and lots of stuff. And you see me around Reddit and Twitter as well. I'm currently working from home with a cat. Usually I would be streaming from. I work downstairs with a multi-mount setup, but for the stream I thought I'd go upstairs because my boyfriend is in the same room as me working, so I figured I wouldn't subject him to the webcast.
And even though it looks a little bit blurred, apparently there is a cat making itself cozy on you.
Yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna work, but he is.
There's the cat.
There.
We got to see some of the cat.
You weirdo.
Oh my goodness, I knew this was going to be fun. And Brandon.
Okay.
Yes?
Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brandon. I work on the Windows Insider program team. As you guys know, I'm also active on Twitter. I am responsible for a lot of the communications that we do about the program and the builds that we release to you, which there may be one coming very soon. I don't know.
Very soon. We've already announced it, Brandon.
Did we already announce it? Oh, well, I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not on the thing, so.
Okay, hang on. Let me see if it's actually out there. Because one of the things
if it's actually out there, I keep checking.
Yeah.
We are doing all kinds of crazy stuff trying to do. Oh, yes, it is there. So build 196008 is now out to fast. So there you go. But I do a lot of the stuff there with comms for insiders. So many of you may have a love-hate relationship with the stuff that I write, but hey, whatever.
Oh my goodness.
I'm trying to be better.
So, let me do, now that we got intros done, let me do a few quick housekeeping items, because I know these are things that folks want to read or know about. So first up, as we just announced, there's a new fast ring flight that just went out. I'm going to try to look at the webcam because it's over here to the side and I'm reading on the screen over here, so forgive me for that. 19608 just went to fast, as we were talking about. If you have a machine that is on the slow ring, yesterday you would have received an update to your 19041 build. That full build string for the new release is 19041.207.
Yep.
And you can find that and then any other previous builds listed on Flight Hub, which you can always find at aka.ms/Flight Hub. So
And I'm updating Flight Hub now for the latest build, so hey, it's all happening.
Brandon always gets flack if it's not updated within like 5 minutes of a flight going live. It's kind of funny. One thing I do want to touch on real quick that is kind of important to note. Originally, before things in the world changed, we had been planning to try and do a bug bash right around this point in time, um, during the this build cycle, and we had even made it into the newsletter and whatnot, and then at the last minute, because of things changing and coordination and whatnot, the bug bash ended up being postponed. There is no date set for it. We will be doing one. It's just at some point in the future, and of course, when we're ready to go, we will make the announcement. But for those of you that received the newsletter that had that in there, we apologize. It was in the different languages that we send out. Some of you, there was one of them that didn't get updated. Totally our fault. We apologize for that. But that's what happened. And so this webcast was actually
Wasn't my fault
no, it was
this
totally
time.
an accident. Things happen sometimes. And this webcast we were actually doing on what we had intended to be the kickoff day for the bug bash. Uh-oh. And there's my dog. So there you go.
Jason's getting a delivery.
Yeah, yes. Ripley loves barking at the delivery folks. So it's like her goal in life. She likes to eat, take naps, and bark at delivery people. So apologies for that, the joys of working from home. So anyway, back to the webcast thing. We would have, been kicking off a bug bash today, but again, it's been postponed. So we decided to do this instead of canceling the webcast because we didn't want to, right? These are fun. We decided to host this and do a couple things. Number one, we wanted to keep it on the calendar since it had been announced in the newsletter. And then number two, we wanted to actually try this remote setup, which you're actually seeing, right? I'm at my house, Jen's at hers, Brandon's at his. And so we did some setup work in the backside, as I was mentioning, as the videos were playing, as we were kicking this off, to figure out how to, yeah, I
When
know,
we
right?
thought no one could hear us.
I know, right? Lesson learned on that part. I've already learned
Curious
a
how
few
how many people heard my singing,
I don't know,
if
but
any.
hopefully everybody did because that was hilarious. So, we're figuring this out. Hopefully the stream quality looks okay. The way this is actually working is we're using a combination of our normal broadcast software and Skype, kind of plumbed together on an NDI stream. So Jen and Brandon are actually Skyped into my Skype, and then between the webcam I have here and then the NDI streams from their Skype cameras, their webcams, it's actually all put into the XSplit broadcast software, and that's what you're seeing. So, we'll have to see how this goes. You'll have to let us know the stream quality. Does it sound good? Is the video okay? Because I am doing this via Wi-Fi rather than a hardwired connection at my house. So, fingers crossed that it looks good and sounds good. Micro Mike in the chat says it sounds complicated. It was interesting to set up, but it's one of those things that once you get it set up and understand how it works, just kind of roll with it. I did have an issue with the echo at the beginning, and that's because of Skype feeding in, and then when you take the NDI streams and put it in XSplit, it's like it duplicates the audio. So there's a timing aspect of going live versus muting the Skype app so that the audio is just coming through the NDI stream. So that was something I learned very quickly. I apologize for the echo earlier, but thank you for the very quick feedback. That's awesome, and it's one of the things we've already learned in this stream. So the good thing is using this, what we're learning today. It is our hope that all goes well, and we can do this again next month and into June, right? We'll try to repeat this same type of setup with whatever lessons we learn, and then we can keep doing these and broadcasting to you from remotely, and keep some of that engagement going since we're not able to be in the office and do it the normal way that we do it. Somebody says my Wi-Fi looks better than Microsoft's connection at the Redmond campus. That's super interesting. I'm thankful for that. I will also say there's not as many people on my Wi-Fi connection as there are people on Microsoft's connection at work. So
Yeah, to be clear, we're not on any Microsoft corporate network at
yeah.
all. We're at our individual wireless networks at our homes.
I mean, I wouldn't say no if someone offered to pay for my Wi-Fi, but no, it's just what I have at home. I think I have like 100 megabyte download, and I don't know. My internet was a lot flakier before. Shoot, I posted this about this on Twitter a couple weeks ago, where like I was having issues where my 5 gigahertz network was dropping like multiple times per day, and we with the fact that we're at home all the time, it just became extra annoying. So we investigated it, and we found out that our router, like the firmware had never been updated, and 2 years ago they put out a firmware update to exactly address this issue I was having with my Wi-Fi. And ever since we like downloaded the update, I've not had any issues whatsoever.
So, lesson for everyone: update your router firmwares.
All the firmwares all the time.
All the firmwares. I had to do that for my TV.
Hey, and so real quick, I know that I'm actually shifting gears here a little bit. Sorry for that. Yeah, updating firmware on TV, right? You rewind 20 years, and that wasn't something that you would have done. It's funny how technology changes. Earlier, right before we started the stream, folks in chat were actually typing out where from within the world they are, and I wrote a few of these down. I apologize if I didn't catch them all. But if you want to do it again, I would love to see them stream across chat. But the ones that I caught were from Chile, Turkey, Bavaria, England, obviously tons of folks from across the U.S. and various states. I didn't write down all the individual states and cities. South Africa, France, and Canada. Those were the ones that I caught.
Yay, Canada!
Somebody just said they're from Hungary. Somebody's there a bunch of U.S. cities. Somebody's in Missouri, Miami, Salem. Somebody's from Montreal. Somebody from India, Australia, Iceland, Slovakia.
Bonjour,
Oh my
Maria.
goodness. The UK, Ireland, more folks from Canada, somebody else from Hungary, Denmark, Brazil, somebody from Sweden. Like there's so many going stuff. Oh my goodness. Y'all are
It's
like,
awesome.
yeah,
This
this is fantastic.
this is one of my favorite. Like talking to people. Like this is why I love the internet. Is talking to people from around the world. It's amazing.
Italy, Netherlands, Iraq, more from Brazil, Finland. Like this is beautiful to see. Like I love the fact that so many people from all around the world can tune in to these streams, and somebody's from Krypton. That's funny. Zambia, nice. Somebody from Sammamish. Oh, hey Joe, what's up?
I was like, wait, that's really close to here.
Amanda's not here. She couldn't make it, but she may pop in
Yeah,
the chat.
Amanda might pop in. Amanda might pop in. Yeah. I will say again. Uh-oh, my mom's in chat. I'm not going to tell you who she is, but she's in chat again. Hello. That's always fun. So real
My
quick.
dad's banned from joining.
I'm sure he's going to do it anyway. So let me give you
No.
a quick. What's that?
I said no.
No,
We
he's
actually
totally
have an
banned.
agreement for him not to join.
Oh my goodness. So let's cover a few bug things real quick. So from the current flight and the past couple flights, everybody's like, "Who's Jason's mom?" That's kind of funny. She can say hi if she wants. I'm not going to tell everybody who she is. So anyway, if she decides to say hi and put herself out there like that, then she can. I'll respect it if she doesn't. So a couple builds back, there was the Teams bug that hit, right, which was interesting timing, giving folks working from home and whatnot. That bug fix did make it out. So if you took last week's flight, you should be fixed up and ready to go. It is obviously continues to be fixed in this week's flight. We did a bunch of internal testing, haven't hit that issue. I know that Eddie is in chat. He is DJ_Eddie L. Eddie, since you're not live on the stream, are there any particular bugs that you wanted to call out that folks should know about in the current flight? I know that we have the flight notes. And so the flight we just launched, if you want to visit the blog, it's ak.ms/WIP19608. So WIP 19608. I'm going to touch on the known issues list real quick.
The one I'd call out would be the taskbar icons one.
And that's the one where they go to that.
Or is that still in the build?
Yeah, that was.
No, it's still in the build. There was an initial commit made to help address it, but we actually needed another commit, which is still making its way up to mainline before it can flight out. But basically, what happens is when the system uses something called GDI handles to draw the icons, and there is a leak basically in the current build making you cap out on your GDI handles, and that's why the icons don't show correctly. I think most people, if you unpin and repin the icon, it should redraw correctly, but for the large part, it's just cosmetic, and we appreciate your patience.
Okay. And so if you unpin and repin, is it just temporary? Is it possible that it would happen again?
Yeah, it would likely happen again. Because that's what it is about leaks, right? Like, it just goes up.
Yeah, and then it'll end up capping out. Okay. The known issues list really isn't like, thankfully it's not super long. We are a pretty good ways into the development cycle of this set of builds. Things are looking pretty good. The fix list is fantastic. Some language changes, performance and loading the update history page for Windows Update. Yeah, so anyway, make sure to check out the blog post for what we just released. If you have questions or feedback, of course, get a hold of us and let us know. Are you
going to mention like the nice big improvement? I mean, not big, but the nice quality of life improvement starting to roll out?
Have at it. I'll let you tackle it.
We're starting to roll out a search box for the 3 settings pages revolving around setting your default apps. So default apps by file type, protocol, and by app, which is, first of all, it's really nice. Like, it's a super long list. So it's nice to be able to just type to filter. And also, for anyone who uses a screen reader, like previously they literally had to tab through the entire list. So it is, not only did we have a lot of feedback from everyone asking for this, but specifically for non-sighted users, it's really important to have access to a search box. So that's currently live for, I believe, 50% of insiders, just to make sure the quality of the page is good.
And guess what? 50% didn't get it. Wah, wah. I actually didn't get it. I'm in the other 50%.
Oh, yeah. I actually, yeah. I seem to always end up also on the control side of these things. But so, it is... Huh?
I was just going to say, so for anybody in chat that potentially ends up in the bucket of not getting it, they're in the control side of things, don't feel bad, because I'm there. I'm right there with you.
I just really quick going to chime in. One of the key things I'm seeing in chat is people asking a lot about design changes, like the new start and all that. We're not announcing anything today or talking about any new design changes as part of this webcast. So, I mean, naturally, feel free to ask your questions, but we really aren't going to be able to talk about that. There's nothing in the short term rolling out. I just wanted to set that context, like, the video that you saw, I think, 2 weeks ago that Pano shared, like, a lot of that was design experimentation that we are continuing to investigate and look at. So there just really isn't anything for us to say beyond that, what's in that video. And we've been asked about an agenda for today. There really isn't an agenda. We are talking about a lot of the things that we've been working on, as well as experimenting with doing this remotely and then taking questions from the crowd. So there really isn't a specific agenda. So Robo Brandon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounded a little robotic, but it cleared up.
I am Brandon Robot 2.
I'm trying to answer a few questions that have popped up in chat.
Yeah, I just the themes on the design stuff. Like, I know people we know people are really about the design stuff.
Absolutely.
And the things that are being said is not falling on deaf ears, but like we got to take a lot of this feedback. We got to take a lot of the input. We got to take a lot of the experimentation we're doing. Like the work is ongoing, so there's nothing to show and nothing to talk about, and nothing that will show up in builds in the short term.
Someone just asked, semi-related. Someone just asked how they can actually start downloading the bits if they have never done Insider things before. And typically the process is like you need to, if you go to settings, update Windows Insider program, it should walk you through it. The update we sent out today was for fast. So if you're in the slow ring or release preview, you wouldn't get it, but it should be relatively straightforward. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions about how to join your PC to the thing.
Yep.
I also saw someone ask about Cortana and about it mentioning it moving to the Notification Center. With the 20H1 builds, Cortana is now an app and is now store updatable. Currently, it's only available for insiders running EMUS, however, we are working on expanding that to more markets, as we mentioned in the release notes. No specific... Oh, echo? No, I don't hear an echo.
Yeah, you were echoing for a second, but it stopped.
Something?
It's okay, keep going.
Okay. Yeah, but I am also hoping for that to start lighting up soon for others. So.
Interesting.
Someone asked about where we are in the development cycle. As we announced back in December, the fast ring is now on a train or a development cycle which is just ongoing. So the fast ring isn't really tied to any Windows release. It's literally the ongoing development, and the development of Windows continues like it churns constantly. And so any new features, anything gets checked in by our engineers, it'll show up in fast first. And so fast is fast and will be that way. So when there is new features, like last week we had File Explorer now showed the Linux distro that you have installed on your PC, and you have access to the files there through File Explorer. That was a new feature that showed up in the fast ring. Whereas with slow ring, right now it has 20H1, and over the last couple months we've been doing a lot of service releases, a lot of bug fixes. So you can expect there to be different types of cycles in the various rings. And a lot of this will become more clear in the coming months as we flush things out more. But like if you're on the fast ring, you're gonna see stuff when our engineers check it in. It's like drinking from the fire hose. It's yummy.
Yep.
Fire hose of Dr. Pepper.
And Brandon, I'm glad I did not take bets from you as we were talking before the stream went live. At least before we went live intentionally, because the audio part, that was kind of fun. Of course, there's the question about when 20H1 is going live and release preview.
Yep.
I will let you take that because we discussed that this question is going to come up. So.
Oh yeah. Sorry, there was a question about the WSL entry in the File Explorer. Someone said that it wasn't working for them. It's a preview in the build, and if it's not working, please file feedback because it should be working. So if something's not working there, give us the feedback so that the engineering team can be like, oh, well, what's going on here, and investigate.
I think Craig, there is a known issue in the flight about there being an error, intermittent error when you try to access them.
Yeah, that we added that.
Yeah, but it depends on what issue you're experiencing.
If it's simply not working and not even throwing an error, give us the feedback and we can have the team look at it. Going back to what Jason was talking about, we totally know that we need to get 20H1 into release preview. And we were working really hard on doing that, but we don't have any timelines to share. But this is where I say soon, trademark.
Soon. Yeah, I love doing that. It's always so much fun. I keep flipping back to my list here because ever since WZor was like, hey, just make a list of the stuff you want to talk about, I've been doing it on the webcast, and it seems to be working pretty well. It's funny being organized, and it helps. Who would have thought, right? Um, so one of the things I do want to talk about, right, is what we're doing right now, the joys of working from home, and we're going to touch a little bit on that in the podcast we're recording this month, which will go live the first Wednesday of May. So stay tuned for that. Quick plug for the podcast. If you don't know, we do podcasts. You can listen to all of them, aka.ms/WIP podcast. So WIP podcast. You can find all of our past episodes there. But each month we record one, and it goes live the first Wednesday of the following month. So what day is that going to be? Looks like May the 6th will be the next release of our podcast episode. But without going into too much of what we're going to talk about on the podcast, one of the really interesting things, like as you can see that we're doing right now, is in working from home. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask Brandon and Jen, and then to each of you in the chat who are potentially doing the same thing, if your company or your employer has provided the ability for you to work remotely, is what are some of the things that you've learned? What are things that you're doing differently? And how has it changed the way you interact with people that you work with? This world is a little bit interesting, especially for folks who may not have done it before. We're very fortunate that on occasion we have the ability to work remotely, either at home or from another location, because of our ability to, VPN to the Microsoft corporate network, access the resources that we need to work on files and documents, do presentations. We have teams to do our remote meetings and all of that. So understanding that we're very fortunate in that regard, I'm super curious to see how all of you as insiders that are doing something similar, like what are some of the tips and tricks that you've learned, and what's some of the things that you can share with your fellow insiders or that we could potentially learn from. And I also want to ask Jen and Brandon this same question. So Jen, do you have any insights or feedback or tips and tricks?
About how I've been working remotely?
Yes, absolutely.
I would like to say I've been trying to go on walks every day in order to at least get some sort of exercise. But the reality is I seem to just keep, I don't know, I seem to be stuck. my boyfriend just gave me a look. He was like, "Don't lie, you're not walking at all." But yeah, I just I don't know. It's definitely harder. Like there's no separation between work and home. It just kind of all blends together. And especially, I mean, there are two of us here working from home. Like we had to sort of get into a better rhythm. And I guess I talk kind of loud on Teams calls, and we're both in meetings a lot. And so we had to come with an agreement of one of us will go upstairs if we have meetings at the same time. And we got a CO2 monitor because we're both working in the same space in the basement all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And our house isn't super ventilated. So we can watch the CO2 levels. And I've actually had a couple where it gets really high, and apparently it can have detrimental effects. So
do you just open a window to get some fresh air as a way to try and remedy that? Or are you doing something else?
Yeah, I'm trying to open a couple windows. As I said, it's not easy in our house. It's just not really designed for airflow. And we can't, because we have cats and they're indoor cats, not outdoor cats. We can't just leave doors open,
Sure.
Even to the balcony and stuff. So, but yeah, it's been interesting. It got a little harder a few days ago because I stopped being able to access my dev box on campus.
That's troublesome.
Yeah, we do have a service for rebooting your dev box, which is kind of nice that they set up for us, which I tried. But unfortunately, even though reboots are supposed to solve everything, it didn't solve this one. So I'm going to have to do something a bit later when I feel like it. But yeah, we're lucky. I can access a lot of resources locally without having to remote in. So that's something. What about you, Brandon?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I'm not.
Oh,
sorry, I know. I'm testing the buttons and stuff and the audios.
He's back.
what I've been doing is it's no to start. I have actually been going on walks, getting out of the house to get some fresh air around the neighborhood. That has really helped. I mean, for me, I have to make sure that I don't just stay glued to my computers like 24/7. So knowing when to step away from work and stuff, that's been kind of a challenge. I have been going on road trips and observing the social distancing thing, but like going around in like this loop that I do. I don't get out of my car. I don't see people. I just do like a trip and listen to music, and that really helps me decompress and kind of keep my anxiety under control. Mm-hmm. But really, I just stay focused. I don't get too stuck on the news. I don't get stuck on the latest and greatest stuff happening. I just stay focused on taking care of what I need to take care of and watching movies and
I did do something interesting with my friends over the weekend. We usually do a monthly bad movie night where we just watch a terrible movie on Netflix and then make fun of it the whole time.
That actually sounds really fun.
Yeah, well, my friend, he made a separate Netflix profile for a person who likes bad movies. So it wouldn't dilute his normal movie selection, but that we can still get... like, it's one of they're so bad, they're good, they're just cheesy and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And obviously, we haven't been able to do that because we haven't been able to meet up. So this weekend, we tried... It's an extension called Netflix Party. And we used that to all sync our Netflix movies to be exactly the same time. And then we did a Discord chat because we have a Discord channel where they just talk all the time. And so it wasn't the same as meeting in person, but it was still really funny. I mean, it was kind of like riff tracks, basically, where you're watching a movie and then you just hear all your friends laughing around you.
I've been having a hard time. I have movies I have a list of movies I want to watch, and for the last month, I have had a hard time starting those movies. I don't know what it is. I can binge watch certain shows, but I've been doing some reading. Someone asked about more tech stuff. I've been going through a lot of my tech. I recently bought an adapter for a bunch of SATA drives, and I've been going through and consolidating old hard drives that I have and taking data off of those and archiving and deleting and so I've been kind of in organizational mode of like I have a huge pile of stuff I want to get rid of once things get relaxed and I can actually take stuff to the Goodwill and the dump and whatnot. So I've been doing a lot of that, but I've been finding it really hard to watch movies, and I don't know why. But I have also been staying up really late. I have reverted to my stereotypical I am a night person, so I am better. I'm more efficient at night, and so I'll go to bed at like 1, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh wow! I thought I was staying up late.
Yeah, and
I've got nothing on Brandon.
Yeah, so whereas before with daylight saving times before we were having to work from home, I actually was working. I was actually getting in the office earlier and being more of a normal stereotypical 9 to 5 type of thing. I have completely destroyed that. I am no longer that. Yeah, so like it's interesting. I mean, I feel like I'm saying like getting organized, going through all my old hard drives. I found some really old Microsoft stuff from like Vista and Windows 7 and Windows Live. It's been funny to go through all that stuff, but I'm trying to digitally like organize myself too, not just physically, but digitally. Like I want to have all of the things that I want in OneDrive, making sure that all of my files on my computers are synced and whatnot. So I'm spending time doing that and building playlists to listen to. No, I haven't found anything related to Windows 3.1. I wish. That was actually my very first version of Windows that I used. and I still have my very first Windows 3.1 game for it.
What was that?
I was Star Trek: The Next Generation interactive
Of course
tech
it was.
Of course, it was Star Trek. Like, what else is it gonna be, right?
Yeah, so
I feel like my first Windows games were like DOS games, like Treasure Cove, Treasure Mountain, Gizmos and Gadgets, like that sort of stuff.
this game was interesting because I got it for my birthday, and then my dad was like, "Oh, it's a CD," and our computer didn't have a CD-ROM unit, and so we had to go to Fry's and buy a CD-ROM unit. And then it came in like a CD-ROM like kit where it was CD-ROM and speakers and all this stuff. And so that's how I first learned how to do like building and doing things inside the computer with hardware. I watched my dad install that and I helped him with that. And then because it was interesting, the game itself it's like a QuickTime VR, and so you can actually be on the bridge and you can touch the control panels and do things on the Enterprise. Is really, really cool. Gosh, I wish I could get it to run. I can get some of the QuickTime VR videos to open in Windows 10, but because back then the resolution was super tiny, the video will open like in a little part of the screen. I'm just like, what?
Nice.
Someone also asked me about my photography real quick. So I will, in my little road trip, to take my camera, my Sony A6000, and I will, if I see something really cool, I will actually pull off to the side road and take a picture. But when I take my pictures, I don't get out of the car. I don't go anywhere. I literally sit in my driver's seat with a zoom lens and I take photos, like the Eagle's Nest recently. And so that's kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah. So let me take a second because I want to. When we asked the question originally, there was a ton of feedback that had come through from insiders, and I don't even think I can roll that far back up in chat. We got so many insights. Everything from hanging out and playing board games, making sure you're doing a good job of setting your work time boundaries, so that you're working through whatever hours you would normally work and not just kind of stretching it on for endless hours throughout the day. Really good suggestion of trying to, if you have the space or if it's possible, have your workspace separate from your, space where you relax. Then, the comments, same thing to, what Jen mentioned about, even though she's not taking the walks, making the time to take some breaks, get up, stretch, don't just stay seated the entire day. And these are good tips just from, normal work anyway, get up, stretch, take a walk, go get a drink of water or something else. Make sure you're taking the time to get a snack if you're hungry or whatever, that you don't just spend, 8 straight hours in the seated position, because I don't think that's all that great for the human body under any circumstance. Yeah, like lots of just really, apparently there's a bunch of stuff blowing up in chat right now. It's really good just to make sure that you keep some of your little daily routines, so that you don't just kind of feel like you're glued to your computer, or you have to be there for 10 or 12 hours straight. There's those long days of work that we all have where it's not just a, cut and dry 8 to 5 type thing. But just make sure you're, adapting for whatever you need or whatever is going to suit you best. And I've been doing the same thing, right? Especially about making sure I get up, go get a drink of water, stretch my legs, go get the packages when Ripley freaks out barking at the delivery folks. It's like I have my own little alarm service. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. So does your girlfriend is she working at the home with you as well?
Yeah, so originally she just switched jobs about a month ago. But she actually used to work for a company that was based in Germany. So she was remote 100% of the time. Like her job was a work from home role. Now, the company she switched to is a local company that, you and Brandon would both know if I said it on air. But she will be going to the office. But the interesting thing is they're all working from home right now. So for her, it was a near zero adjustment because she was already accustomed to it. So she's just following her normal routines that she has been for the past, I think, 4 years. So she's good to go. So it was funny. We got asked a few times about if we're going to cover more tech stuff. I did note at the beginning of this podcast, or this webcast, that we're going to kind of be all over the place because this was supposed to be one of the Bug Bash ones. But one of the things that I do want to talk about that I'm going to try to walk the fine line and make sure I don't say anything I'm not supposed to, is about feedback. So there's a couple things. Yes, we do need to go back to Frisco. Oh, B. Lehman's in here. Nice. Hey, what's up? Let me know if you got that chair. I'm super interested because I remember our conversation on Twitter. Um, it's about feedback, right? So, number one of the things we always do during what would be a Bug Bash webcast is we have insiders in chat share links to feedback that they want to make sure we see, right? Because one of the things is, of course, feedback getting attention, making sure it gets upvotes, making sure it gets in front of the folks that are able to go and drive action on those. So if you have any outstanding feedback items that you would like us to make sure that we capture, track, and sort through in case we haven't yet, go to the feedback hub, go through your filed feedback or search for the ones that you've potentially done the Me Too action for, and grab that link, share it in chat. That way we can see it, your fellow insiders can see it, and we'll capture those. But one of the interesting things that I want to talk about, which I was debating on talking about it in the webcast, I guess I've made the decision to go ahead and do that, is about finally in the correct section. So one of the things that I've been doing for, it's probably been, I'm going to say it's been a week and a half, of, let's just say, a lot of intense work. And I got to give a quick shout out to Eddie because he has been a huge help in pulling this together with me. Is about reviewing different areas of the feedback hub, the feedback that has come in, and seeing how it lines up with what our expectations were. And so let me clarify a little bit on what we're referencing here. The default for when you go to you submit a new piece of feedback, is that it'll file it as a problem, right? And then you have the option to click the toggle at the very beginning to switch it over to a suggestion. And so we actually went through and we're looking at the suggestion side of things. And interestingly enough, depending on the area of feedback, right? Because there's obviously a ton of different level 1 and level 2 categories that feedback can be filed in. There's an interestingly high percentage of two things that we found. Number one, problems being filed as suggestions, which is I found to be super interesting because you as an end user, you would have to intentionally select it to be a suggestion as opposed to it defaulting to a problem related feedback. But the thing that I wanted to note about that is we don't get any logs. We don't get any error logs related to the feedback that you filed. We get them for the problem side of things, so it'll capture any error logs or particular system logs so that we can help identify and track down the problem. But on the suggestion side of things, those logs don't get attached because it's not being filed as a problem. Jen, it sounded like you had something you wanted to add on. Please do.
Yeah, I mean, no, that was exactly it. Like, especially in our teams, like we're trying to look at especially as many of the problem reports as possible. So if you submit something as a suggestion, but it's actually a bug, it just makes it a lot harder to act on. Especially if we do need logs, like if we can't repro it on our devices. Yeah.
Yep. And then number two was and this is something we're actually going to take and do a project on our end, is in relation to feedback going into, at least for how we would define it, right? As the wrong category. We would just, in the tally that we were doing, we just tagged it as being miscategorized. And one of the areas that seems to be most prevalent is in the update area, where after users, such as yourselves, would take an update, if you have feedback, there was a new bug that you encountered, a lot of that ends up getting filed under the Windows Update section, and it's one of those things where it's not although the bug may have arrived after you took an update, the bug actually applies to a specific feature or application, and so the feedback should be filed against that feature area or application. But many users file it just under update because from their perspective it occurred because of the update, And so we get a
Yeah.
different set of logs than would be required to actually address the feedback. So one of the things we'll be doing, and this will actually help us a ton, is we're going to take on a project to try and outline some of the core feedback areas, highlight some of the suggested feedback that should go in those areas, and then the desire is for us to go ahead and post that on our Insider website, probably via a Docs, Microsoft Docs link. Yes, the feedback links are pouring in. Thank you for those. We will absolutely look at these to make sure that we're helping set some of the understanding of where specific types of feedback need to be filed, and to help users that may have a question on does it go in area 1 or area 2, right? Where there's some things that feel like they could potentially go into more than one category. We want to make sure that we actually, help guide you in the right direction for those.
Someone asked if it helps to identify the type of system they're using. When you file feedback, like if you're logged in as an insider, it should automatically have that sort of info, but sometimes it is, like if you're reading through the comments, sometimes it is helpful just to see that in the comment. So not strictly necessary, but not helpful either, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know, like to touch on your point, like people report the audio issues, and if you report an audio issue under the audio path, you can get, and you take a trace of the issue you're experiencing, we can get really good information about what's going on with your system and how to help with that. But if you report the audio under the Windows Update issue, it will only include like the Windows Update info, and that doesn't help it doesn't help the team make traction on it, unfortunately. We do, on our end, like we do have the ability to move feedback to a different category. However, it's manual, and it's, me, putting it over to the right place. And obviously at that point, the feedback's already been filed. So someone would need to go back and then after that, add the logs. And you'll see that sometimes, like we have feedback has 5 possible states. This kind of touches on somebody else's question. There's 5 possible states. We've got it, looking into it, working on it, changes made, and needs more info. And this one, you'll actually see like a big red, yo, we need more info, badge on the feedback if it's set to that one. And obviously, like logs aren't the only issue. Like sometimes we get feedback that, what did I get recently? It was something about the feedback was, it was like, this word doesn't make sense, which is fair. Like sometimes when Windows gets translated into different languages, like maybe the right word wasn't selected. But unfortunately, the feedback, it didn't tell us where the word was. It didn't have a screenshot. All we knew was the language, which is certainly part of it. I mean, obviously, it makes a difference if it's Japanese or German, but if we don't know where in the system the problem is, it's just hard to make traction on that feedback.
Yeah, and then when you move feedback from one area to another, the logs that are captured as part of that feedback apply to the original area that the feedback was filed against. There's no systematic way to go back and recapture logs from a different area from that same machine, because the logs are actually attached and sent at the time that the feedback is filed. So it is good that we have the ability to move it between areas as we recategorize things as needed, but we don't have the logs that we need to do the full level of debugging to potentially fix the issue. So that's why we've actually have gone through and done this exercise. There's more to the story than what I'll talk about at the current moment, but it has been a really, really good eye opener on some of the areas that we can improve in, some of the actions that we can take. Cat on the stream. It's been a really good insight into some of the actions that we can take in partnership with the folks, both the developers and the program managers on the Feedback Hub team, on things that we can take action on, how we can improve, and then what we can do to help share back to insiders on some of the things that will help them file better feedback so that we can be more deliberate and actionable as we go through to triage feedback, create the parents, do the deduplication efforts, and then, of course, to work on and address the feedback that has been filed. So Eddie is in the chat collecting those links. This is fantastic. I'm super excited for that. We can all, and I don't. That's the joy of having multiple people on Webcast. Like, I love it. Now, Jen, your cats are getting a whole bunch of love in chat right now. It's kind of funny. Simon, I'm hearing a new ding. What's that? Oh, I think it's actually my Teams sounds playing through. So thank you for calling that out. I will mute my Teams because there are still chats going on and other applications that I have open on my machine.
That was me. I actually posted something in Teams.
Oh, so it's your fault, huh, Brandon?
It is. It's my fault. Right when Simon mentioned it, I'm just like, oh.
Oh, that's funny. So one more thing
Somewhat
that I do
related.
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, someone. Sorry, my cat looks super crazy.
Are you posting cat selfies in the middle of our webcast?
No.
Hey, Kilo!
No. Oh my God! It's what's that dog type called? Corgi? It's a Corgi mermaid. No, someone in the chat asked about. There were a couple people talking about sticky notes. So in the last few builds, there has been an issue where you weren't able to move the sticky notes on the screen. A fix for that went out with the flight that just went out an hour ago, and Eddie verified it himself. So if you're still having the issue, shake your fist at Eddie. And the other thing, so some of you may recall, like with version 1903, sticky notes, I mean, in partnership with the OS and an app update, sticky notes was updated so that each note was actually its own window. Doing that made it easier to individually tab to the notes through Alt-Tab, and also if you wanted different notes on different virtual desktops, like it enabled that. Before then, the sticky notes, even though you saw multiple windows, they were actually one entity. In any case, so there's some benefits to that change. There are some drawbacks, which is that now they're all individual notes if you like to have a lot of notes. And so the sticky notes team, if you right-click on the sticky notes icon in the taskbar, you will notice that they added a open all notes from the minimize state, and they also added a close, like a hide all notes option, which is the same as minimizing everything. You'll also find, which is just a general jump list. Hey, cat. Yo, what's up? You'll find the general jump list option, which is close all windows if you want to. So, yeah, just addressing that feedback. I don't know if there's anything else in the chat about it. Hey, oh, you're so happy. Yeah, you are.
Invasion of the pets. What I said when I tweeted out this morning that there was a high likelihood of pets getting involved. Yeah. It's just the nature of it. I know, right? You now have a Surface Cat, Jen. That is funny.
Yes, I definitely do have cats that love my laptops. So, and Panos has he knows that I have Surface Cats, for better or worse.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Pets are loving the pandemic. Yes, pets are loving the fact that so many people are at home, so they get to hang out with them more often. I was expecting my dog to be in here more. Apparently, she's sitting outside enjoying some of the sun. I even kept a couple treats at my desk. Uh-oh, here's the doggo. Uh-oh, come here. You want a treat? Come here. Uh-oh, she's got one treat. Okay, there she is. Like, you get my cord out of the way. Here's my dog. She stole the treat and she's leaving. I've been abandoned. I tried to bribe my dog and it didn't work. She has better things to do. That's funny. Yeah, so anyway, like, spending more time hanging out with their pets, all that kind of stuff. In Feedback Hub can't create share links, says keep trying again. Michael, you're the second person in chat to say that. That's actually something we can look at. We're going to wrap up the stream here in probably the next 2 or 3 minutes anyway, so that's something obviously very front of mind that we will take a look into. I have my laptop here that I will try to repro the issue on, but it sounds like something we should look into much sooner rather than later. But of course, the links that we're asking for on here, please do, if we don't get all of them in time because of the link creation issue that we might have here, please come share them on Twitter. We'll be happy to take them and add them to the list of things that we're going to check into. And Eddie says he's going to follow up on the short links, so thank you. I realize, as well, I guess we should probably start wrapping down here. I realize this has been more people saying about the link creation issue. So yeah, there's obviously something going unexpected, so it's probably service related. So we will absolutely look into it as soon as we're done with this stream. So as we wind down here, any closing or parting words, any tidbits of wisdom that either of you would like to share?
This one?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not truly feeling too like. I mean, I would just say that. We're all in this together in terms of the current, global pandemic stuff. So, I mean, it was great that we were able to do this and get this working, and I would imagine we can do more of these types of things going forward. So that's great. So.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said, "Oh, here's one. Upload a bug report as a bug, not a suggestion." That's one. That's kind of funny. I'll just say that, I'll echo what Brandon had said, that, we're definitely in some interesting times that are throwing a lot of us, in essence, almost everyone, out of their normal routines, having to adjust and adapt and do things differently. Just like, we're doing for this Webcast, where, we're trying different pieces of technology, working them together in ways that, have been done before, but, that, we collectively in this group, that we haven't. But it seems to have worked okay. I would love to hear your feedback. I might start a Twitter poll or something after this, so you can give us a thumbs up, thumbs down on, how it has or hasn't worked. I realize there's been a little echo in the stream or whatnot. We'll do a little homework, see if we can work on that. But we learned a few things. I think this has gone well enough that we'll continue to try to do them in the upcoming months. Hopefully you feel the same way. Please let us know if you've enjoyed it. But it's been good times. We hope everybody stays healthy, stays safe, wash your hands, right? Be good to one another. And we will take all these feedback links that we have gathered in the chat. We definitely have some homework to do. As always, we thank you for that. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being part of the program. And until we get together again next time, stay safe and take care. Bye, y'all.